What's up, everybody? Week 11. Week 11. It's getting closer and closer to the fantasy football playoffs, man. I can't believe it. Just talking it again today. It just goes by so fast. You do so much work and time and research. And here we are. As always, make sure you like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Listen, tons and tons of options and deals. Scan that QR code on the left-hand side. It'll take you everywhere. An underdog, better, sleeper, roto QL, BetQL. As always, 15% off at BetQL, and that will get you off your subscription. So make sure you lock in, man. I'll tell you, because I'm going to show you. Listen, you guys know I love picking out the values of DFS and having those models to just kind of the optimizers to go through and look. It is pretty cool, man. I enjoy it. I love it. I'm going to pass on to you guys like we always do, but you also have to get that subscription up. You got to pony up a little bit so you can do it on your own and use that code word Jigsaw, right? So we'll talk about some ups and downs, some guys that are up, some guys that are down, some interesting plays as always, like we do every week. And again, big reception over at TikTok, man. Having some fun over there. Got a lot of cool engagement, a lot of cool back and forth, little mailbag sessions. They can start sits, which I absolutely love. Been doing it for 15, 20 years, obviously. So this is week 11. We're gonna talk some. I say must start, but I think we all know who the must start guys are, right? I think we obviously don't have to kind of hash those guys out. If you have a question, if you're stuck with a lineup dilemma, hit me up right there. We'll talk about it. We'll get the consensus. We'll check it out. We'll kind of feel where we're at a little bit, because it's getting down to the nitty gritty now, right? It's getting down to the nitty gritty because we really have to be certain of some of these moves that we make, right? And one of the biggest moves I think we could talk about right off the bat, let's get into the RJ Harvey effect. Now, if you were in the preseason chats when we did a lot of best ball drafts and we were talking about on this specific show on the Alternative Edge, I was a very, very big supporter of RJ Harvey because I didn't honestly believe in J.K. Dobbins. Now, J.K. Dobbins proved me wrong. However, we were just waiting for something to happen, unfortunately. Now, nothing happened a few weeks ago. It was just a really good fit in the game for RJ Harvey, and that defense was exploited, and it was his breakout game then as a RB2. Now he's RB1 this week. Not going to be an easy test, okay? So everybody just automatically assumes that this is going to be the RJ Harvey week. I just pump the brakes a little bit. I like RJ Harvey this week. I'm obviously going to start RJ Harvey. He is a must start. He's an RB1, but he is going up against a very underrated, good Kansas City defense front seven and a veteran defensive Hall of Fame coordinator in Spags. You have to look at that. We always have to look at that. Like, don't discount that. However, I do think that, he's a RB1 for the Denver Broncos, but for fantasy football purposes, I think he's easily going to be an RB2. Now, again, he only has this. We're talking about 10 games. He's only talking about 70, 75 touches in total. He should get 20 in this game. This is going to be a very big sample size. Obviously, you're going to see some Jaleel McLaughlin because Peyton loves two backs. He always does. But I think they're going to get very creative with RJ Harvey. And I think the one thing about RJ Harvey is you've seen a lot of RJ Harvey on sweeps and on wheel routes and on screens and on flat passes, but we haven't seen a ton between the tackles. I think that's going to break out in this game. I really do. So very, very interesting. Again, it's going to be about that battle up front, but I like RJ Harvey definitely this week. I mean, we all do, but I just want to temper the expectations just a little bit, man. Just a little bit. My man, Japan, checking in. What's up, Japan? And, on that same token, let's talk about the one thing I call it the great wait. The great wait in fantasy football. One guy that we waited for RJ Harvey. Another guy that we've been waiting for. He's had spurts here and there. But finally, if you listen to Miko Ryans come out, he talked about getting this youngster more of the carries, more of the touches. Get this damn kid the ball. And again, CJ Stroud not playing. Davis Mills inserted into the game. Who are we going to rely on a lot? Woody friggin' Marks. Listen, Woody Marks was a play. I drafted a play in the offseason, or I should say the preseason, right? He was a guy that we all looked at, a guy that we weren't sure how things were going to pan out. And then when you saw Joe Mixon come up with the toe injury and go on IR, and it looks like he may probably not even going to play this year, you look at that and you say, this gives the rookie an opportunity with the only other guy in Nick Chubb. And we're not sure how Nick Chubb is going to hold up. Now, I will give Nick Chubb a ton of credit. Comes back from a gruesome injury, and at his age, and he actually looks good. He actually looks good, but he's like that fine, what do they used to call those things? Knickknacks? That fine knickknack that you want to leave on the shelf. Don't want to touch too much because grandma might say, yo, it could crack. It could crack, so don't touch it. And I think that's where you're at with Nick Chubb. So obviously it's like, look, give Nick Chubb 7 to 12 touches a game, 7 to 10, but give Woody Marks 20. Okay. And I think that's where he needs to be. Again, I think you're going to see less of the 50-50 split that we've witnessed already. I think this week you go a little more like 65-35. And that's why I love Woody Marks. Play 80% of the snaps last week, by the way. 81 total yards, got a touchdown. He was all over. It looked good. You got that scary glimpse of him limping off the field. Everybody's like, uh-oh. But I think we're good, right? All of a sudden, everybody's looking at their phones. To get back in. I got Red Zone on. I got the app on. I got my Fantasy Live on. I'm going everywhere. What's going on? And then all of a sudden, you see him start to earn some points again. You're like, whoo, thank God. Woody Marks is back. So, yeah, Woody Marks is one of those guys that I really love. Now, another guy, again, this is, I want to call him a guy that was forgotten about. And I'm going to slap myself on the back again because I've talked about this numerous times, right? I talked about it numerous times, and that is Aaron Jones. What does a running back do well? Aaron Jones runs good routes. He's very elusive in space. Jordan Mason is a guy that runs between the tackles. It's okay to have two running backs on a team that are fantasy relevant. The problem was they were trying to find an identity, and by the time KOC got them the identity, Aaron Jones went on IR. Now he comes back 3 weeks ago, slowly but surely, he's starting to really get involved, right? Really get involved. Not to mention, not only get involved in the passing game, but back in the running game. 18 for 125 in the last 2 games, establishing almost a 7 yards per carry clip. And oh, by the way, this week, 4th worst in the NFL in Chicago. 4th worst in Chicago in yielding yards per carry, yards per touch. Terrible. Sign me up. Aaron Jones, get him in the lineup, man. I love it. I love this game for Aaron Jones. I think he scores a touchdown on a wheel route in this game as well. You talk about the other side. Let's look at guys that we're not up on. And we're just talking some running backs here right now because running backs obviously is one of the most important positions right now, especially with all the injuries that you really have, whether you're streaming, you have a lot of depth, right? You really have to look into this. Is anybody more frustrating than Kenneth Walker owners? Anybody? No matter what, this guy's been on a milk carton all year. All of a sudden, Charbonnet, that, he's the guy. We were so happy. We were so happy about Clint Kubiak being there, what he meant. We talked about the Kamara years. We talked about what Kubiak can do for the running back. Oh, we're so excited. And then it was like, again, our dreams just shattered when we're watching Charbonnet take the bulk of the touches. Now we start to think, oh my God, is something wrong, Kenneth Walker? No, I obviously don't like Kenneth Walker. So he's averaging like 9 points a game. Are you serious? People were talking about Kenneth Walker having a top 3 running back season. He has sucked. And he sucked the life out of a lot of fantasy teams, man. Killing me personally, killing my team. 2 guys, Chase Brown, Kenneth Walker, killing my squad. Like, you don't even know what to do. You can't drop them. You can't drop them. Listen, I'm going to tell you something, man. I'm still in second place, and 3 of my running backs, Chase Brown, yeah, talk about a turd right now. Kenneth Walker, another big turd. Okay, 2 of those guys on my roster right now that I was relying on. Oh, by the way, Chuba Hubbard, who all of a sudden now can't hold Rico Dowdle's jock. So, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm a little fired up because these are guys I put a lot of stock into. It just didn't work, right? So I am not touching Kenneth Walker this week, especially against the Rams. And speaking of defenses, how about I'm going to go with my boy here, my boy, the Major Edge, okay, on Blades and Fades. Make sure you check out Blades and Fades week 11. We took a week off last week. It's post on a YouTube channel. Okay, me and my son dropping some knowledge, the Major Edge, okay, the aspiring barber, talking fantasy football. He said, I'm going to fade Derrick Henry. Well, God damn it, so am I. Against Cleveland, listen, no matter what, did you see how much they were using Keaton Mitchell last week? What does that tell you? What does that tell you? 2 guys. Now, I'm seeing the spark back at Saquon, but we talked about this. The top 2 backs of last year with Saquon and Derrick Henry, man, are they taking a step back in production this year? And we talked about that. 300-plus touches. Can they handle it? Well, guess what? This team right now with Derrick Henry can't handle it, man. He's obviously going to get all those. Listen, he's 100% touchdown dependent now. He wasn't for a while. He is now. And against that big defense out there under Jim Schwartz in Cleveland, I don't know, man. I'm going to fade him. I'm fading him. Now, obviously, with the watered down lineups of a lot of running backs, you might not be able to, but if you can, I would. My man Slugger checking in. What's up, Slugger KC? He says, oh, I like these questions, man. I like these questions. Again, Slugger, if you're not subscribed, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Much appreciated. Should I trade Derrick Henry for Wan'Dale Robinson and DK Metcalf? My running backs are Gibbs and Javonte Williams. My wideouts are Debo, Troy Franklin, and Garrett Wilson. Well, right there, like, who knows what's going to happen with Debo in Washington, right? We don't even know how that's going to work out because of all the issues at the quarterback position, right? So obviously, is Mariota going to be targeted Debo? I think Debo could be in a good spot because, again, Mariota is just as elusive as Jaden Daniels was. So he'll be able to move around. They'll be able to put him in spots. But Troy Franklin, I listen, that offense is so inconsistent out there in Denver now all of a sudden. I mean, we're even questioning Cortland Sutton because of the offense and because of Bo Nix. Garrett Wilson obviously ends up on IR. So you got issues at the wide receiver position, which obviously I could see why you're talking about it. Again, Wan'Dale Robinson, Wan'Dale for me, I was always in on Wan'Dale. I like his PPR kind of at his PPR ceiling. The problem is out there, you just don't know what's going to go on. I actually have a good feeling with Mike Kafka out there. I'm not a Kafka guy, but I just think he's going to bring a little more of a different dynamic to the offense. And, once Dark gets back off concussion protocol, I think he could bring it, he could simplify it down. Remember, think about this. This is why I do like Wan'Dale Robinson. Think about who Mike Kafka studied under. He's an Andy Reid disciple. Remember that. He's an Andy Reid disciple. Andy Reid, what does Andy Reid love? He loves West Coast offense, right? Andy Reid runs the West Coast offense. A lot of small intermediate routes. What does that go to? Guys like Wan'Dale Robinson. So I think that comes back a little bit more, right? I think that comes back a little more. And I do. With Japan says Robinson's going to go off this weekend with Winston at QB. Not just him. That look for Darius Slayton to catch a couple bombs, obviously, because Winston throw the long ball. It's an interesting one. I think this is kind of out of need slugger and necessity. I think you do the deal. I do. I'm not sold on DK Metcalf. He's very inconsistent, right? And you see how pissed off Mike Tomlin was at that shitty game you had with Aaron Rodgers out there because the line actually blocked pretty well in Pittsburgh. It just was a bad game by Aaron. I don't know what was going on, but that's the only thing I worry about. However, if he's on, he's as good as anybody to go up and get the ball. So I see where you're going with this. I like it. I do. I like Gibbs and Javonte Williams are studs right now. I mean, who would have thought Javonte Williams would be a top 5 running back right now? Fantasy. Nobody. I didn't. So I do. I think I'm curious to see if we revisit this in a couple weeks how it worked out. But I definitely would do the deal based on what you need right now for sure. My man Smitty's so pretty. I like that. Smitty's so pretty. Smitty's so pretty. If you're not a subscriber, make sure you subscribe and like the show. It would be much appreciated. I love the support. Flex One PPR. We got Woody Marks. We got what? Oh man, hold on. So we got Woody Marks for Shavoy, Ted Metcalf, leaning Woody. I love Woody Marks. I just talked about him earlier. I love listen, 50-50 split. Okay, last week. You hear the head coach, D'Amico Ryans, come out and say, we got to get the kids the more ball. We got to get them more touches. He had a pep in his step. They use him down at the goal line. I love Woody Marks this week. Absolutely love him. I think he's going to get 65 to 70% of all the looks. Davis Mills in there. It even bodes even more well for him because Davis likes to throw to the running back, right, as the backup guy. So I'm in. I like Woody Marks. So let's leave Woody Marks right there. Right there. I like Woody Marks. I'm in 100%. Yeah, exactly, Japan. Tell them, hit that like button, hit that subscribe as always. And again, I don't want to sit here and bore you with every single deal I have. Okay. But right there, scan that QR code. All the promos are right there. If you're not an underdog subscriber, and you may be, that's fine. If you're not a better pick subscriber, if you're not a sleeper subscriber, all the deals are right there. Most importantly, if you're not BetQL or a RotoQL, okay, RotoQL is what I really, really like as well. I'm going to show you that in a little bit because that brings us back. I don't know if you guys remember me in the Win Daily days, but that's going to bring us back to more of the optimizers and the lineups, right? To get those $3,000 values that we've been getting on this show. We're going to give you a little RotoQL, so make sure you use that code word Jigsaw, get your 50% off so you can play along 100%. Now, let's look at some of the other positions, right? And I'm going to give you some values for DFS, okay? Because I do. I love doing the values for DFS. Look at some receivers this week that I think we're really in on. Now, I know there's been a ton of talk in Philadelphia with A.J. Brown. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't care what happens right now. I am not touching A.J. Brown at all. Don't care. I don't care how banged up the secondary is. I don't care. Right now, there's something going on. They're doing everything is like getting on their knees and taking care of this guy on the field, man. Seriously. I don't know what else you can do. Obviously, this dude don't care about winning. He don't care about the Super Bowl. He just cares about him. He can say all he wants about the team, but he just doesn't, in my opinion. He does. You don't go out and do all that dumb shit that you're doing and care all about. You know what it's doing. You know it's weighing on your coach and your teammates. So come on, dude, stop. I'm just so over it. So if for fantasy purposes, when we have situations like that, I tend to go away from them. I don't touch them. Right? I honestly don't touch them. So I'm not touching AJ Brown at all. Looking at this Arizona situation. Now, I know everybody's going to jump in on Michael Wilson as a wide receiver 1, and rightfully so. I get it. Now, all of a sudden now, everybody thinks this guy's going to be a 100 plus. I don't think that. However, I think Michael Wilson can give you a really good stat line of probably, let's say, 6 catches, 58 yards, and a touchdown. So if you get that from Michael Wilson, you're happy. Again, it's against San Francisco, and Jacoby Brissett is playing out of his mind. Like, shout out, it's the year of the old guys. Year of the old guys. Joe Flacco, Jacoby Brissett. So, yes, I am in on Michael Wilson. I know a lot of people are saying, look, it may be a guy you're not thinking of. Could be maybe a Greg Dortch, right? We don't know. DeMarcado is going to get some more clock out of the backfield, in the passing game. But I still think Michael Wilson, he's been good even without Marvin Harrison Jr. So rest up, get well, Marvin Harrison Jr. Hopefully we see you again in the next week or two. Now, speaking of guys I'm staying away from, there's not a ton, but I will want to zone in on Quentin Johnston this week. This guy was so good, so good. And I know there's you got the injury to Gats, and I get it. That's the guy who kind of took over. When Quinston missed a couple weeks, or Johnson missed a couple weeks, Gats would come in and take the touches. But Lad McConkey's finally getting back in. Obviously, you still have Keenan Allen out there. I think the love affair is over now with Quentin Johnston. I do. I have to go by, what I'm seeing. And he got volume last week. I get it. Right. I know he got 10, but again, he's back to that Quentin Johnston of, is he going to catch the ball? Is he going to run the right route? I mean, you're talking a 50% target to catch ratio. That's weak, man. That's absolutely weak. I can't do that. Right. I do. I mean, honestly, I can't do that. So I think you probably have better options out there, obviously. So Quentin Johnston is a guy I'm kind of taking out of that streamer kind of role that we had him in because he was playing so well. I'm dropping back on that and going in another direction for sure. 100%. Let's get into a little DFS before we get out of here. Now I'm going to share my screen a little bit. I'm going to give you the three value guys that I like as of right now for this. So let me put this over here. Right. Yeah, there we go. Look, see, I am my own producer here. Okay. So I'm going to share the screen and let's look at RotoQL. And again, make sure you use that code word Jigsaw. Get your 15%. Okay. So let's look at this. And I'm going to show you the three guys right off the bat that I'm staying out, and I'm going to lock in as my value plays. Okay. Again, this is what you're going to get with RotoQL. Okay. This is the DFS part of BetQL. Separate subscription, right? BetQL, sports betting, RotoQL, DFS, right? RotoQL, lock in 50% off. Use that code word Jigsaw. You'll be very, very happy. You go monthly. It's fine. I'll show you all the pricing. You get involved. It's something that you really, really want to check out. Obviously, you got FanDuel, you got DraftKings, you got Yahoo, right? You got all the lines, the classics, the showdowns. It's all there. The research, the games, the players, the projections. You could save lineups that you like, right? The mobile app is fantastic, by the way. You'll love it. Very, 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 very good. So right off the bat, let's look at three guys. I'll go from the bottom because he selected Jalen Noel. Jalen Noel last week for the Houston Texans, again, was a guy that I was in on and a guy that showed that he got 4 or 5 targets, 4 or 5 catches. Let's bring him up, right? Let's bring it up. Let's show you right now. Click on Jalen. This is what you're gonna get here when you sign up. Now, this is what's great, right? You're looking at everything. You're looking at what his value was last week. And the best thing is you can see all the values, what he was as he creeped up. Creeped up to 4,000 against Denver, drops down 3,700 last week against Jacksonville. Okay? Against Jacksonville. Now, what did he get from a target? Look, he got 75 snaps, 33% of the snap share last week. Okay? And he did have 1 red zone target, and he had 4 targets, and he caught 4 of them. So 100% target to catch ratio, which I really, really like. That's one of my biggest nuggets. I like that. 4 for 35, didn't score a touchdown, but that's okay. 7 points. But what I'm looking at this week is more of Jalen Noel. And for 3,400, if I could bump that up in the double digits, the way I look at it, he's 3,400. If I could bump that up to 10, I'm in. That is a really, really good value play. That's what we try to do here. That's a really, really good value play right off the bat. Now, let's look at, we talked about Greg Dortch, 3,300. We talked about Michael Wilson getting those wide receiver one reps, but now we're going to look at value. Where are we going to go at with value? And that's going to be Greg Dortch at 3,300 to be all over the field in different formations and, running different routes. He may even do a couple wide receiver screens. He's a pretty dynamic guy if they use him the right way. Jacoby Brissett has, like we said, been playing out of his mind. So I like that for 3,300. And this is the play I love. Tyler Algier at 4,800 as an RB. I love this play. I love this play, right? And why do I love this play? Well, I love this play because they showed that this is their closer. No disrespect to Bijan Robinson, but Tyler Algier, Raheem Morris is an old school dude. And he's like, yo, that's my closer. Right? This dude he's getting like 27 carries last week. Like, that's their closer, man. I know it went to overtime, but still, that's their closer. I love the ceiling for Tyler Algier, especially with a watered down running back. Obviously, a running back lineup out there with so many injuries and so many what ifs. Tyler Algier is a constant, even as an RB2. So he's under $5,000. So under $5,000. You got to sign me up from some Tyler Algier. Okay. You got to sign me up for some Tyler Algier, man. Like, when you can get a guy at 4,800. Now, going up against Carolina, very, very good defense. I get it. However, they can be run on. They're only, what it says right there, 17th against the run, right? So I'm in, right? That's more than half likely for him to really, really be successful. You watch like last week, man. I mean, obviously, the fantasy points, whatever, but just looking at, he had 63 snaps on the team, man. Like 63 snaps on the I mean, this guy as a RB2, 29 attempts, right? 5 in the red zone. Look at that. 5 in the red zone. Come on, man. Come on. And for 4,800, how do you not lock in on Tyler Algier? So I'm locking in on Tyler Algier. Now, this is what we're going to do. I always play 2 value guys, right, in my lineups, which I love. So I always play 2 value guys. So we're going to do, I'm going to take out Greg Dortch right now, just for the hell of it, because I really like Noel and I really like Algier as my top 2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down here. I'm going to hit generate optimized lineups. Watch. Hit that. And you're going to see everything happen. Now, look, last updated 9:30, which we're live right now. It just generated us 20 lineups. Let's go down. Look, 20 lineups. Look at that. Project what your projected score is, who you guys are right now. Look, I mean, I don't like this one because you're adding Bijan and Algier. I don't want both of them in the lineup. I only want one. But you see the guys like we're talking about. Look who's in there. Wan'Dale Robinson. We talked about him earlier. We talked about Jacoby Brissett. Right? But these value guys allow you to get guys like a Trey McBride in your lineup, and a Puka in your line, and a Bijan, even though I don't want them there, right? Look at the next one. Now take Bijan out, put in Christian McCaffrey. I like this, right? I like this. And obviously Gatz is playing. I like that. I like that a lot, right? I do. Now go down here. Okay, you drop down a little bit. Here we are at the Bijan. I don't like the Bijan. And the Algier. I would rather go Algier. Now, if you notice, they love Jacoby Brissett here in the optimizer. Love to go. Right. And again, this is only your 4, man. Like, look at all these. Like, you got to go through every single lot. Now, here's one with Justin Herbert. Right. Here's one with Justin Herbert. Let's see if they have any other different quarterbacks set up. No. Now they love Jacoby Brissett, man. There's JJ McCarthy. I got a JJ McCarthy. Now here's one of Algier and Chase Brown. But and you see them doubling up with Jamar Chase. So as you see, right? As you see, these are some really deep values in DFS that we can look at. Now, what do I do? And I say this all the time. What do I do? I'm going to go what we do on Sunday, and you're going to probably see a Jalen Noel prop. Probably going to see a Tyler Algier prop, and they're probably going to be in a parlay. So make sure you tune in on Sundays for that as well, man, because that's how we get rolling, man. That's what we do here. That's what we do. We're having some fun. Like I said, little week 11 winning edge report. I'm trying to do something new every week. I like the way midweek bring out this report, talk about it. I'm getting caught up with certain things. So, and obviously Sunday mornings, make sure that you're in probably right around like 9 o'clock. Usually, like 9 o'clock, I go live on Sunday mornings, drop about two or three props, a couple parlays, and some other DFS value. So we're going to continue to run into that. So everybody, as always, make sure you like and subscribe. And again, right there, scan that QR code. Whether you're a better player, whether you're a sleeper player, whether you're underdog, you can get the deals right there. Everything's explained. Obviously, I get credit for it. Ain't gonna lie. But again, that's why I'm here for a half hour, right? Trying to earn your trust. And then obviously, BetQL is sponsor of the alternative edge and RotoQL. You go to either one. You want the sports betting or you want the DFS. Use that code word Jigsaw, get you 15% off. And if you want to get a free trial, let me know. I think I can get you a 3-day trial as well to check it out. So obviously, as always, keep it locked in right here. Like and subscribe. Everybody have a fantastic evening, and I'll catch you back on Sunday morning.